Yeah, okay. First of all, I'd just like to welcome everybody to Hexham Town Council here on Monday the 12th of January 2026 at 6 p.m. here in the Priors Hall, Hexham Abbey. We're going to go to our agenda item, which is to welcome the leader of Northumberland County Council, Councillor Glen Sanderson. Glen Sanderson will be here till 6:25. I've just had a couple of minutes with Glen just to explain that we're going to have the conversation and questioning will be about not just about the Anthony Gormley exhibition and the depot, etc., but it's more about the relationship between us as Hexham Town Council and Northumberland County Council, because obviously in recent weeks it has become fairly strained, but I think this is based not only on what's happened recently, but it's been a case of that being over a little period of time. So I'm going to invite questions. So I think Councillor Penny Brennan, you were going to ask the first question.
Yes, I am. Yes, and we're really pleased that you're here because there are a number of issues, as Derek has said, that we'd like to talk about. And I know that the Anthony Gormley Old Fire Station issue is not the only thing on the agenda, but I would like to refer to this. First of all, we were very disappointed that Sir Anthony's personal life was actually targeted on the County Council Conservative Facebook page about him being a Labour donor. I think that was unacceptable, but we want him for his international arts reputation. So despite the withdrawal of his offer on the Old Fire Station, we would like a halt to be called to all the plans and for Hexham Town Council and Northumberland County Council to come together as equal partners to explore properly and openly all the proposals, including the private sale of the cottage, which has come up recently, with a view to presenting any agreed plans to Sir Anthony. And this is a statement really, but I would like your response to that, please.
So, may I just introduce myself quickly and just kind of set the scene? Why I'm here tonight is not because I've known Derek a long time, I have a lot of time for Derek, but I also have a lot of time for Hexham Town Council, and I've praised the Town Council for the work that you do on a number of occasions. I have quite a strong linkage with Hexham because my sister-in-law lived here for a long time. I was chairman of Northumberland National Park for a long time, so that meant me coming into Hexham on a number of occasions, almost twice a week. And I had my knee done at the hospital, which was a very eventful and pleasant time. It's still painful. Has anybody had their knee done?
Yes.
No, oh well, it's not as simple as it sounds. But anyway, what I wanted to try and do tonight was to actually say the reason, apart from Derek asking me to come, was to try and mend the relationship, because I spend a lot of my time going to parish councils, to town councils right across the county, trying to create a good working relationship, and we are getting there. Right across the county. That brings dividends for everyone, not just for the county council to be able to speak and listen, but to actually act upon what people would like us to do. So clearly there is a mending operation, and that is this first part of that process as far as I'm concerned tonight. Now, I had not planned to talk in great detail about the depot and the fire station. I would rather have talked about what are we going to do together moving forward. I've had a quick look at where some of these buildings that are not flourishing, standing empty and not doing the town or any of us any good, where we currently are with that. I know that the workhouse at the moment is being looked at, and we have pledged, and you know this because I copied you in, we have pledged to work with any potential developer to see if we might make that a home of some kind, or if that's going to be too difficult, then any other use that is suitable for the town. So we will do that. We will also ensure that the bus station that is owned privately, as you know, comes to fruition soon. it was sold in 2016, and I was amazed how much time has gone by. So it's nearly 10 years that that site has been left as it is. You know that we've had a few rumbles and rows. I was involved myself in quite an unpleasant one with the owners about this time last year. And the intention there was to say, just get on with doing something, get on, don't leave this a mess, just get on with it. I think hopefully there is a planning application going in for there, I understand, soon, and that we might see some progress on that one. And also on Hexham Middle School site, you know that if you look on the government website, you'll see that there we are now, actually going for a partner, and we hope to have a partner within the next month. Now, the Hexham Middle School site was something that we could have sold and got a large cheque for, and I think you all know that. But it's something that we listened to you, we listened to Roger, we listened to others about how you wanted to see that site develop. And whilst it may not be perfect, it is as close as we can get to making it what Hexham needs. And when we move on to the next stage of having a development partner, then we can start talking and discussing again about how the next stage might go. So we're working together on that. So what I would say in terms of working together as partners, yes, absolutely happy to do that. And I'm more than happy to come back here again, or for you to come to County Hall if you prefer and meet some of the officers. I do know that Derek is chairing, because Derek is chair of the new community partnership idea, and you are getting a full presentation and commitment from our development and regeneration team at that. Mm-hmm. And that is an opportunity for you to tell us, not for us to tell you, about what you would like to see us work on together.
If I might say with respect, there's a specific question I asked about, we have been trying to be partners in the decision making around the old fire station, and there have been developments recently which throw a completely different light on the decision that you've made. We want everything to stop. We don't want the demolition to happen. We want to have a conversation about what the options are so that we could then go back to Anthony Gormley. I appreciate what you're saying about the other sites, but this is a specific question about that one.
Okay, so I don't want to go into a difficult conversation because that's not why I have come tonight, but what I would say is that the history of this site goes back a long time, and if you probably know the history, it goes 4 pages of A4 to when we first started talking about this site to where we are today. What is important to note, if you don't mind, is that in, I think it was June or July, the move then was to proceed with the demolition. I stopped that and I said to officers, please go and talk to as many people as you can, see if you can find a way forward and come up with some answers. And so that did not come up with the answers, and that's why we are where we are today. And it's pretty much as simple as that.
Vic.
Yeah, just thanks for coming.
Thank you for the emails you sent me. Quite a lot of them.
I did, because I still haven't got the answers that I wanted.
Oh, I did reply to you.
Yes, but you didn't reply to my specific questions, which you haven't done tonight either. But however, we'll move on from that. Just thanks for your update on the derelict buildings, because that was something I was going to ask about. I think generally at Hexham Town Council we actually feel ignored, and it's not only with the larger items like the derelict buildings, but it's also what might be seen as smaller things. Like for years, for instance, we've been asking for a 20-mile-an-hour limit in Hexham, and it's our answer to a request we get every year, and often that's been ignored totally, and then we had an answer back saying, oh no, it couldn't happen. There's just a lack of engagement on that. Public toilets, we've had several months, years in a row, we had a member of the public come along every week and have to ask the same question, and I know that a couple of county councillors have also been involved in that. They're still sitting there just some of them are absolutely appalling, particularly the ones at the top of the Wentworth car park, which are probably the ones that first people see when they first come to the town. And as I say, they may seem like smaller things, but actually in terms of how Hexham feels and about how the residents of Hexham feel and the visitors to Hexham feel, are actually really, really important. So that's just a couple of examples, but I'm just interested to know why there's been no action on these things for years, and why do we feel still that we are ignored, and what's happened with the fire station has just exacerbated that, and it's heartbreaking actually that has been seemingly ignored, but that other things are just being...
Okay, so if I may just say to you, absolutely it was not ignored, and anyone that was working closely to me will say that if we can try and get both developed, that's what I want to happen. We need the depot, but I also wanted to see if we could find a suitable building for Sir Anthony Gormley. So that was my intention, and that remains my intention, because I can't believe we can't find something somewhere that would be suitable. But what I have pledged on behalf of the County Council is to support the proposed statute. Now that's not going to be straightforward, as you know. There's the Environment Agency and others who will probably not particularly like the idea, but I have said we will support that, and also financially. So in terms of being a town of culture, we already give £80,000 a year to the Queen's Hall. Now that's actually quite a lot of money for us at the moment. It always has been, but particularly at the moment because we've got quite a difficult budget. It is very much my intention that we continue to do that. On the question of 20-mile-an-hour speed limits and on the question of the public toilet, may I ask the clerk, with your permission, if you could drop me a line, give me the details of where we're talking about the 20-mile-an-hour limit and which toilets we're talking about. If you can get that off to me tonight or tomorrow, I will action it straight away, and I'll talk to Derek about that. Yeah. We'll do the best we can. I'm sorry if you felt you've been ignored.
Yeah. So just to clarify, what the Hexham Town Council has wanted for 5 years now is we've repeatedly went to the local transport plan. Our first and main thing that we've requested is the town to become a 20-mile-an-hour town, because at the moment we have a patchwork quilt of 20s, 30s, and 30s and 20s. Yeah. And you know, we've seen towns around other parts of England, and certainly Scotland and Wales have gone for 20-mile-an-hour towns. Okay. And it's just really to get a standard. That's what we're after. The toilets, they do work. Glen, you know, it was discussed.
But you and I visited the toilets.
We did. We had the infamous toilets for that time. You know, the toilets do work, but they are great. Right. Let's say. Okay. So that's what we want. You know, we don't want state of the art. We just want it to be, just that bit better. David, you're going to come next. Yes. Hello.
So yes, what I wanted to ask, Hexham is due to become the first UK's arts town this year, hopefully. And the Anthony Gormley Foundation would have been a real boost to that, obviously. Are you personally supportive of that goal for Hexham, and what do you think? Some of this you've touched on, but what more could NCC do to help facilitate that?
Yeah. So the answer is very much yes. I've already said that I want to continue the £80,000 to the Queen's Hall. That is a very useful and very good organisation. I hope you agree.
Absolutely.
Are you all?
Yeah.
So we want to continue to support them. And I, as I said before, I cannot believe we can't find a way forward to enable more art and culture to be developed. I was disappointed about Fellside building, but I understand the reasons why, but I would have been happy to have said take that. But we've moved on. In terms of the sculpture, that is something that's incredibly important, I think, for Hexham, and it's something that if we help, which we will, it will make a huge difference. Any other ideas, though, about where you feel we might create more in terms of a place for young artists or new artists or different kinds of artistry, then tell me. and we will look at that. You've got this meeting that Derek's chairing shortly. That'll be the opportunity to see what we can do in terms of bricks and mortar. But in terms of my support, you have it, and I can't tell you any more than that in terms of going forward.
John.
Hello, and thank you for coming tonight. Communication between Northumberland County Council and the Town Council is at an all-time low. And I have a very strong feeling of déjà vu saying that, because do you remember, was it 5 years ago, I believe you came to be the leader of the council at that point, and you organised a series of road shows across Northumberland. Well, a lot of us turned up to that. We're fully behind that. We wanted greater communication between the two councils. And nothing happened after that. We don't feel as if anything moved on from that. We still feel ignored and dismissed. And a good example lately is the shambles. We put forward a timescale for when the shambles should be repaired. It was ignored. As well as the constructive suggestions we've mentioned tonight about the old fire station. And Hexham, obviously, is a key player in the county. If Hexham thrives, the county thrives. And we should be given proper consideration and respect, and we don't feel as if we're given that. How are you going to repair the County Council's relationship with Hexham other than having another road show and it's a one-off, goodbye, nothing changes? We need structures, I think. We need organisation where regular meetings are held between different groups of people. Not just your goodwill, which I'm sure is fully behind good communication, but we need more than that, Glen, and we didn't get it 5 years ago.
Okay, well, I'm sorry about that, it's the first thing. The second thing is the community partnerships that we have set up is designed to allow parish and town councils and local community and police and NHS to work together to meet to talk about a common issue, and then the chair will then take those things forward for action. That's one way we can do it. Another way is we have our parish and town council conference every year, which is in March, and we get a lot of people to come to that, and that tends to be quite useful. But if you would like to set up a structure of meeting with Hexham Town Council and the County Council, that would be absolutely fine with me. I go up to Berwick Town Council, for example, quite frequently, and the relations there were a little bit frosty for a while, but I think things have calmed enormously. One thing I would say is this, that you will know that we've come to this new development in the southeast of the county of a new data centre campus. And the work is already quite well underway to build the first of these huge, massive sheds, 1,000 metres long. Now, as part of that deal, we negotiated a growth fund of £110 million from that deal, and that money will be paid to us each year as the development continues. Now, that is not designed to go and build a new swimming pool somewhere or anything else. It is designed entirely to boost jobs, to boost business and enterprise, and the kind of thing we're talking about for Hexham. So I think what we should probably do, and it's up to Derek, but I am more than happy to come again with senior officers, or to invite you to come to County Hall and have a round table hour or two to meet the head of planning, to meet the head of roads, neighbourhood services, toilets, all that. I'm more than happy to organise that if that would be helpful, and I'll do that in the next couple of months. If that would be something that Derek would like to have.
Yes, please. Yes, please.
Steve.
Couple of things.
I used to be a back in the day. A couple of things, really. I tend not to believe things from politicians. I remember canvassing for the Conservative Party, And I remember reading in the paper, Guy Opperman saying the bus station's on its way. There's £5 million in the budget, and it never happened. The landlords of the bus station have not got the best reputation in delivering what they say. Is it a possibility that if they don't deliver on this occasion with the plans that they put forward, that there'll be a compulsory purchase order from the county council to energise Hexham with this big black hole that currently exists? Next to the black hole, there's Beales, currently empty, like many department stores, Debenhams and others. I think the county council missed an opportunity of purchasing that, and Yorkshire Trading took the ground floor, which made all the other floors practically impossible to deliver a viable project. What's your plans for Beales and that department store? And the third one is slightly unusual, that nobody else has picked up. The marketplace was literally a shambles from beginning to end. If you were any sort of manager in the private sector, you would hold your head up and sack the people who were constructing it. And the county council takes some responsibility for that. There is an opportunity now that for pedestrianisation of the marketplace, and I think that debate now is rife. It's there. Some of the antagonistic people who opposed it have now left, and there's a growing realisation, including myself, who was originally against pedestrianisation, that every European market town I go to, every thriving town centre has a marketplace, and if we're after this cafe culture and the pedestrian and a safe place to shop, would the county council look at the potential of pedestrianising the marketplace in the future? Thank you for listening today and coming. There was a great danger of a disconnect between us, and I think this is the first step of something that's very, very prosperous and worthwhile.
Thank you. So on the first one, I don't know the answer, whether we can legally or any other way compulsorily purchase it, but I think that's something for our first meeting. On the second one, around pedestrianisation, that's definitely something for our meeting, if you come to County Hall. And we can talk about that with the various different parts of the County Council to look at what that might be and whether that might actually happen. On the shambles, it's really disappointing because that cost the County Council something like £400,000, and the intention was a real heartfelt intention to build on the Heritage Action Zone that had already been completed, or virtually completed, to make it really nice. And really, it was a shame that it didn't hit the timescales, and for whatever reason, it didn't bring the pleasure that I thought it would. But I hope it will in the future, because, as I say, it did cost a lot of money, and it was real intention to make it work. But so the other 2 points, though, are definitely more for our officers to be able to give us the expert professional advice. But I'll certainly attend that meeting and see if we can take it forward.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm just conscious of time, and we thank Glen for she's a big company, and Glen's.
Quick closing.
Go on, a quick one. Yeah.
Glen, Roger Higgins, thank you very much for opening on buildings, something we're all interested in. But I think the concern is whether NCC officers, and everyone appreciates that they're all vastly sort of overstretched to deal with every local authority, but whether some additional pressure can be brought to bear on some of these absentee landlords. There's been a discussion this week or scheduled about the workhouse site, but that's a gateway in from the eastern side of town, but also from the station, the arrival point there, the abandoned station cottages, the abandoned goods shed building. These are owned by Blackstone, a US multinational that's not really particularly interested in Hexham. And we really need NCC officers to arrange meetings with Blackstone to find out why they're sitting on these empty buildings and why they aren't bringing them in, not marketed, not being disposed of. And we've tried, Andrew's attempted to speak to people at Blackstone who aren't, their facilities management people aren't interested. So it needs to be NCC to insist on meeting on site and find out what their plans are for these buildings that are just sort of mothballed, or they're not mothballed, they're abandoned. Thank you.
Okay, so if I may, I've got another meeting I have to go to at 7 o'clock, and I'm already going to be about 45 minutes late for it, but I wanted to come tonight just to say hello, and you asked tonight, good. And to see if we can kind of patch up the relationship, because that's extremely important to me. So I think what we've agreed is that if I can ask the officers to come here, or alternatively, we could entertain you at County Hall. We can have working lunch or something, and we'll have, if we have the agenda in advance, a week or two in advance, talk about that, talk about pedestrianisation, talk about the speed limits, talk about the toilets, and anything else. If you can give me an agenda to work on, I will make sure that the correct officers are there, and I'll certainly attend. It will probably, we've got the budget coming up, and Derek is probably going to be really difficult, probably going to be very difficult when it comes to the budget, but let's hope not. We'll see how we get on with that. But so I would imagine it will be probably the end of February, early March, if that's okay for this meeting. And we'll, as I say, we'll happily have it at.
Glen, would you I'm going to just sum up now because I'm just conscious. Glen has to go. So just to sum up, what we'll do is we will pull together all the key things that have been brought up today, which is many things that we constantly go on about. We will bring that all together. We will create that agenda, and we'll then start that engagement. But just to sum up, really, I just feel as though, for me, Hexham's feeling a bit unloved at the moment. There has been some good things with high school. The work on the Heritage High Street was really good. The shambles could have been good, but the timetable that we thought we had agreed was ignored, and it ended up delivering in the wrong time and crashing into all the events season that we had. And it's just, the 20 mile an hour thing we've been talking about until we're blue in the face. It's been ignored, and there's a number of things. The toilets we keep going on about. So there's a number of things that are all worthy things, that they are not pet projects, they are worthy things that are important to the public of Hexham, that we want to move forward. We all believe in Hexham. We think we've got a really good thing going here. Public constantly coming to us and going like, we applaud what we are doing here. We've really put more investment in the Hexham Town Council, and you as a county council, you've helped with that. But there is obviously still an array of other things. Some that are county council, but some that aren't county council. So we need to work as a partner to really push that forward. So we'll do that. Obviously, we're going into budget season soon. So probably after the county council's budget's delivered, we'll look to know all that busy people out there. So thanks for talking on that.
Right, dear Jan. Take good care of yourself.
Good, sir. And thank you so much for that.
Thank you.
Thank you. Right, I'm conscious, I'm happy enough to chair the meeting from here. If you wish, we'll try it out. Obviously I've done the welcome. Public participation, we don't have any members of the public here today, so that's a shame. Any apologies for absence? We have Suzanne Fairless here who's apologised. Any disclosures of interest by anybody? Any dispensations? Minutes to receive as a true record for the minutes for the full council of Monday, 8th of December 2025. Is there any comments on that? Can I have permission to sign?
Yeah.
And I'll do that signature. Andrew, just give me a prompt once we finish this meeting. I shall do that. We've seen Glen Sanderson. Right, so next item is to approve the proposed 2026-27 budget for Hexham Town Council. So I'm going to turn to Faith. Faith Hartland, who's our chair of the Finances and General Purposes Committee, and has been deep in thought alongside all the other committees of the Town Council to propose a budget. So over to you, Faith.
Thank you. Yeah, hopefully everyone's had a chance to look at the paperwork that came through. Included the budget proposal and the associated papers that went with it. So all committees have been working hard and they've decided on their priorities and approved their part of the budget accordingly, which then fed into F&GP, who then looked at the budget overall and have put together the draft budget. For the last few years, we've been a proactive, innovative and brave council. And in order to deliver the identified priorities, we need to raise the precept this year. Just by a small amount for a Band D property, which is the way we always look at it, of £18.54 a year. A Band A property, of which there are 25% in Hexham, would only see an increase of £12.36 a year. This would still put us just very slightly below what the average precept payment of a Band D property in Northumberland is. That's all I need to say really, except that I propose that this council approve the budget for 26-27.
So, Faith, could I ask what key things are you intending to deliver? What's the
So the major one-off thing is obviously the new play park on the Seal, and there's a lot of work's gone into that, looking at really delivering what we can get for the smallest possible amount of money, but having the most impact and providing what the group that we engaged with through the parents of the Seal and other interested parties sort of came up with as well. There's things like further improving the Christmas lights, possibly improving the Abbey lights, down to more bins, some of which have recently been vandalised, repairing benches. You know, it's a very wide-ranging number of items. Investing further in projects and supporting local groups that we've always done and would like to continue to do. But that one major headline expenditure for this year is the play park.
Yeah. Roger, may I bring you in about the play park, because all the time you've spent alongside colleagues, would you like to just explain what the intention is? Because obviously the Seal play park is some years old now and looking very tired. We've had a number of observations from members of the public, and obviously we know that it is not in the state of repair that we would like. So do you want to explain exactly what we're looking at with the new play park this year?
Okay, so we asked for, so we read out request expressions of interest or tenders for two options: the slightly lower budget one, and then a stretch option. And there was a preferred supplier who came, we went back to, and who's since worked on a scheme that sort of sits between the two. So it does create like a destination playground, because I think rather than just sort of like for like replacement of existing, you need to see the Seal one as something that appeals beyond the immediate user group, and it does. Playgrounds do draw visitors, so it's important to get a good destination one there, something that is appropriate to the site. So we've got revised drawings, revised costings. Tom did an awful lot of work on it, developing the scheme, so we're going to keep one or two items that are there at present, and then put in some of the bigger ticket ones off this new proposal. So all of the dreadful rubberised surface gets replaced. Get one or two really attractive kind of big ticket pieces of play equipment, and overall I think it'll be quite a sort of transformational impact if we go for that preferred option.
And what's the overall cost of this new?
So it's pretty much 210 x.
So just for the camera. So the Hexham Town Council spent all this time looking at developing that play park, and we're looking to spend some £210,000, obviously very, very expensive play park equipment, and make it a destination play park. And we wish to do that in 2026. Yeah.
And we also went back a couple of times to the play park user group, so they've had a look at the preferred option, how we develop that.
Yeah, so we've had members of the public who are parents of children who, as Roger is, who use that play park to get a bit of a user experience as to what is the best for. So as you can see, 210,000 is a lot of expenditure for this town council, but we recognise the importance of a play park and how well used the sealed play park is. So that's good. What we're also looking to do is, and we will progress this year, is the lights that light up the Hexham Abbey, which people think are owned by Hexham Abbey, which they aren't. They're actually provided by Hexham Town Council. Hexham Town Council many years ago decided to use the Abbey as a backdrop to enlighten the Abbey and to be a great focal point during the darkness. Those lights have been in operation for maybe some 15 years now, and are, they've really got to the end of their lifespan. So we are looking to get to renew those lights and look to some exciting improvements. So we'll not go into detail now, but we are looking to get some really exciting improvements, and we shall inform you further as we progress. But this is all part of our ambitious council. Penny, would you like to talk about the music festivals that we have?
Yes, so I think that the rise in the precept is pretty modest, really, considering that we provide free music in the park in some form or other, either bandstand sessions throughout the summer that turn into the Bluegrass Festival, which we are a partner to. We raise all that money externally to pay for people, or the town council, in the case of the bandstand sessions, actually funds that. So I think we have a commitment, and we've discussed this a lot in the past, about the fact that if you live in this town, you should have access to things that are happening in the place that you live for free, because there are obviously people in our society who can't afford to pay all the time for their leisure pursuits, and they're held in a public space. So and then that dovetails quite nicely in with our ambitions for the arts town. So it's all a picture that is being developed, really, where actually we're becoming a really thriving town. And I think that the rise in the precept, obviously, if you take into account the increased cost of living and the increased cost of buying services, is modest in terms of what we achieve and what we hope to achieve this year.
Okay. So just to sum up, as Faye's mentioned, there's been a lot of work being done by all councillors in all the committees to come up to what our exciting future entails, and to really drive this town forward as we have for the last 5 years. So an increase of £18 per year, and that works out at about 35. So if I forgot that right, I better check it again. But I think that works out at so £18 divided by 52 weeks of the year works out at around 35 pence extra per week. That's on a day ban, but there's a lot of houses in Hexham which are less than a day ban, so you'll be paying less than that. So, but on average, it's 35 pence per week for the improvements that we intend to do. With that, is there any questions? Yes, I'll please.
So there's two. One might be pretty straightforward. One is to do the interest. So the interest is a big leap in the interest payments for the PSDF. Is that right? From 1,000 to just on the budget.
Which slide?
Gosh. Well, it's in the income one.
Yeah.
Income, just wondering what that relates to.
I can answer.
Yeah.
Unless Andrew wants to answer that.
Yeah.
We've set up a system where we now transfer any surplus money into a savings account.
Yeah.
So that has increased the interest that we're making on money
Yeah.
that's not currently being spent.
Yeah.
And every month F&GP decide and sign off the amount that's going to be transferred that month into the savings account, and it's very flexible so that money can very easily go in and out. So if one month we needed the money back out for something, then we're able to do that. And you can see that's had a huge impact on our income, because it now means we're actually gaining interest on money that we weren't before.
Yeah. And the second question was the staffing budget's gone up by 40,000. If we recruit another member of staff, that's like 18%.
Yeah, Andrew, do you want to, can you answer me?
We have recruited another member of staff since last year, so we've got an additional admin role. We've got a position that needs to be filled as well, and we've also recently undertaken an external staff evaluation in terms of what grading on the national scale each of the different job roles that we have at the council should be on, and as a result of that re-evaluation we've had to take another look at the budget. So the budget there allows for the council to approve the job roles as set by the external evaluation. There's accommodation for the new admin role that's coming this year, and there's also some scope to look at an apprenticeship come the September period when schools finish.
Is the council linked to the NJC, the National
Yes.
Trade Council? So we have to give pay rises for that. But this is in addition to what we have to do.
Yes.
Okay.
No, it's looking at whether the job roles that we have were on the appropriate scale on the NJC. Some of them were, but some of them have had a history of being on a spot contract rather than on a proper scale. So it's been a piece of work to address some of those deficiencies.
But yeah, absolutely. So there's two things going on there. There's one to put people on the right scale that maybe weren't. There were some who were, some who weren't. So that's just corrected that anomaly. And the second part is, to answer that question, yes, when there's a pay rise across the national picture, they will receive that as well.
I mean, someone needs to make the case, but obviously £18 doesn't sound like a lot of money, but if you compound that with all the national tax rises, cost of living, it might be a nice evening out that you might have with a partner, and it's the kind of nice things that people are coming back on. So I think the optics is really important, that we're not trying to increase other people's cost of living, and we're not immune from some of the challenges that everyone else is facing at the moment. Because most people aren't getting pay rises. If you don't work in the public sector, very few people are getting pay rises at the moment, or have done for several years. So it's a difficult situation for everybody.
Right, Stephen?
I'd like to open up to a little bit of a debate.
Yeah, of course, absolutely.
Last year I voted with Penny, seconded Penny's motion to increase it by 15%. In terms of percentage, it's 15, so that's approximately, if you compound the 15, it's about a third more than it was 2 years ago. What we're looking for really is value for money. If I strip everything else out, can the people see where we've been? The Player Park is an obvious one. 60,000, the 220,000 or whatever is over 3 years. Yes, I can put my hand up for that. I want to see it delivered. I don't want another bus station. I don't want another Beales. I want the town council to deliver it. I'm always a bit dubious about doing deals with religious organisations. So if we're going to do something with the Abbey, let's make sure the Abbey are on side and they don't pull our pants down, and it's the responsibility all of a sudden of the town council to to lift the Abbey up. I want that to be done in partnership with the Abbey itself, if at all possible. Or if we can't do it with the Abbey, you're shaking your head, Mr. Mayor, but if we can't do it in partnership, then let's have the tail wagging the dog. Let's us be in charge of that project. Simon touched upon overheads. We've got to keep our overheads down as best as we can in order to deliver the best for ratepayers' money. So on the premise of that, we can deliver all these things. We can add some really attractive things like an arts town, or the possibility of buying and being involved in projects, whether it's the Methodist Church at Trinity or whatever. I think this could be a really exciting budget. There's enough in there. There's about £20,000 in my view. That is like what politicians call headspace. And that can be manoeuvred around a little bit. When you're doing ambitious programmes, you take a little bit from there and a little bit from there and sort it out. I never thought I'd stand in front of any political group and say I approve a 33% increase over 2 years. But if we have to say, is this value for money? Can we deliver it? When it comes to the vote today, I will put my hand up in favour of it.
Thank you.
Yes, there's a couple of things I think there. I fight shy of percentages because 100% of nothing is nothing. And when we put the precept up in the first year, it was 29%. It amounted to less than a cup of coffee because the rise had been so small in the past. And we were way down the league tables. Now, it isn't a league table that we want to be at the top of, but it's actually an indicator. If you look at New Biggin, the fact that New Biggin's precept was much, much more than ours was. And if you have a look at the size of New Biggin and the scope for what they can do. So we were trailing behind. So I think we've done a really, really good job in marrying our ambitions with what's achievable with the money. And when it comes to value for money, I actually think that we have done an extraordinary job. And I'm not talking about how many teacups you can buy, it's about what it is like to live in this town. And when you think about when we first, if you like, took over from the Tories 5 years ago to now, the development has been absolutely huge, and it's through partnership working, it's through funding small organisations who are the mainstay of our town, because they provide very particular and crucial services to parts of our community, you know, so people with learning difficulties, people with dementia. So we are a funder, we're a part funder of lots of those things. So our money spreads everywhere, and I think that first thing I'd like to say when we're talking about percentages, that those people who are in receipt of benefit do not pay anything, because we don't want to frighten people with percentages or anything if they're actually in receipt of benefit. Depending what band you're on, it will determine how much you pay. And I think that we have to vote this budget through. If we want a town that's really, really worth caring about, living in, bringing our children up in, looking after each other in, and developing, then we've got to have a bit of headroom, and it is particularly modest in the light of what we do.
Okay. Anybody else for the comment? Okay, so I'll wrap that up if I may, and then we'll go to the vote. So just for clarity, it is not any 30%. That's just not how percentages work. So that the increase is this year, it's
14.28%.
It's 14% this year.
Well,
yeah, it's 14% this year, which works out at about £18 per year, which is 35 pence per week increase on a day band. And as I mentioned, there's a number of houses that pay less than that. So Hexham, you know, the charging of the Hexham Town Council charge is in relationship and in a bandwidth with the likes of Morpeth and with Alnwick and other market towns in Northumberland. that's where we wanted the debate, is to benchmark with our peer and sister towns. That we wanted to benchmark with them, because they obviously have a sum of money that runs their towns, and you look at how good Morpeth is, you look at how good Alnwick is, and we want to be as good, if not better, and that is where we've headed over those years. I'm very proud of what we've done in the last 5 years. We've really moved it on, and been fantastic. The councillors have been ambitious and really driven this town forward. So, but what we should also think about is every penny raised by the Hexham Town Council goes back into Hexham. It's the Hexham pound that is captured, and it's recycled and it's recirculated, and that's how you get things like Spook Night, and you get your fireworks, and you get your Christmas lights, and you get all the other events that happen, and that's that pound. It's recycling the music events, people go and buy cups of coffee and go to the shops and all this, and it stimulates the economy, and obviously tourists coming in, that's adding money into the pot of Hexham, recirculating, recycling, and really getting the economy of the town going. I look at, and I think the obvious place to look at is Market Street and Back Street, and just look at how those small traders, independent local traders, have become more and more and more year on year. And to me, that is the measure of how healthy our town is. We've always had that, crazy, as shops close and all this type of stuff. You go to some other towns, and wow, it's depressing going to some other towns. You look at Hexham, and we can't rest on our laurels. We have to keep pushing it forward. But we have seen, the back street. You see, a bit of an artist community going on there. It's becoming a bit of our Latin Quarter, if you wish. That's becoming really, really positive. And going down into Market Street, and you're starting to see the health of the pub trade as well. For many years we had a number of pubs that just weren't happening, starting and stopping and failing, and they're all starting to feature and be there for the long term. So very, very positive. We keep going on about one of the happiest places to live in Great Britain, and long may that continue. And I think we should all be proud of what we've done. We've got ambitions. And just to clarify about the lighting of Hexham Abbey, it was Hexham Town Council that took the decision, and we only use Hexham Abbey as a backdrop. They aren't owned by Hexham Abbey, they're owned by the Town Council. The Town Council took the decision to say, we will light Hexham Abbey. We could have lit the Moot Hall, we could have lit anything. We could have lit the toilets, but we didn't. We chose to do the Abbey because it's the most iconic building of all. And when you come into the town and you see it towering there in the darkness, and you see that beacon of light there, for a little town to have that is spectacular. And those lights, our responsibility, we take that, but it's also the money of Hexham, the public give to us, and we're the guardians of that money. We don't own it, it's that we're the guardians of their money, and we do that to make this town a better place. So with that, we'll propose the budget of for 26-27. So we need it. So are you going to propose, Dave?
I will propose that this council approve the budget for 26-27.
And we have a seconder in Penny Grennan. We shall therefore then go to the vote. All those in favour? Okay. Those against? Any abstentions? So it's four. It's everybody in favour with one exception. Thank you. Good. Right. Fantastic. Well, that's good. Ben Richfield. Our next item is to approve the rise costings and designs for the Seal Park. Roger, are you going to come in, or is it Tom? Tom, do you want to come?
Top seat.
We sit next to Derek.
Hot seat.
Yeah. It's more warm than hot. Right, over to you, sir.
Yeah, thank you. So as already been said, we've had a few rounds of design and talking with the kind of third supplier. We're now in a place where we're kind of, as a working group and as a committee, we're now happy with where the design sits. I think it's got a good range of kind of equipment for different age ranges, different abilities, and it's got kind of also an environmental kind of conscious to it as well that I'm also quite happy with. So the latest plans that we've got, the cost for them are sitting at, as previously said, at 210,000, and it's probably a little bit more than maybe we anticipated spending, but it's again a balance of, if we're going to do this, we might as well do it properly. So I think that extra kind of little bit of expenditure is definitely worth it. You kind of start taking any funding out of it, and you kind of start to question why we're doing it. So I think it's kind of important to kind of focus on this being that kind of central park, the destination park, the main park of Hexham, and I think it's really worth spending that money. So in terms of the layout, the design, the working group, and the kind of user group has had a good discussion about that, and I think I'd move to approve.
Do you want to explain like what kind of just a couple of the highlights of what's actually going to be? So so we know what we're expecting.
Yeah, sure. So the main big ticket item is quite a tall, kind of 9 metre high climbing frame. It's got, I think it's made of like 2 towers that kind of join together. There's various kind of climbing equipment, other kind of sensory kit around that, and kind of a really kind of big centerpiece item. It's quite good value in terms of what it provides for the cost of it. We've also got kind of smaller items, so there's a tree climber, kind of a pole with nets around it. There's kind of the usual swings, which are always very popular. There's a smaller kind of climbing frame for kind of toddler age kids. There's replacements to some of the kind of smaller Springer kind of items, some which are a bit damaged. And then there's a kind of wheelchair accessible roundabout as well, which doesn't look accessible, but it is accessible, which I think is quite good. And all the other kit has that kind of accessibility theme, but without it being kind of obvious.
Yeah. I think that's what one of the teas out there was that we are getting, that we are looking that it's accessible to all people of Hexham, so that is wheelchair accessibility in those with like lesser abilities. Nigel?
Yeah, I mean, it sounds great. Delighted to hear about it. I just want to ask about the flooring, what you do with the flooring, because and also just to check how long it's going to take. I presume the seal will be closed down for a while, and when will it be? I know the shambles offered a bit of an example of how you don't want to do things, so I just wonder what the plans were for that and how long it might take.
Yeah, so the flooring, it's a case of recognising that this is a high-use town centre park. So we've gone for using the kind of rubber matting simply because of the durability of it and the safety aspect of it. It really does kind of provide that. Yes, there's a cost to it, but it's been kept to a minimum, so it's only provided round kit where it's absolutely necessary. So it's kind of getting that good balance. And it's got, I can't remember the guarantee offhand, but it's got a good length guarantee. In terms of timescales, if approved, I think I ended up being quoting myself, but I think it's about kind of 12-week construction period. I don't want to promise that right now, but I can get back to councillors on that.
Mate?
I think sadly there's been some vandalism over the Christmas period, burning of tyres and burning of bins. Do we need to look at separately for, I don't know, it's not going to give full protection, but some kind of CCTV camera system to protect the asset once it's in? It'd be a shame if it's still vandalised once it's in.
Yeah, I think there's a wider discussion about security of the play park that needs to happen, but that obviously isn't budgeted for within this.
But we could look at that, mate, but that's a good question. Fanny?
Yeah, could you say something about the user group? Because they've been really important in the design, in agreeing the design of this. Is it a group at the Seal?
Yes, so there's a parents group.
Sort of Rosie Parks. Rosie.
Yes, I would say yes.
Never mind. I mean,
Rosie Parks is the.
Roger.
Yeah, Rosie.
Yes.
Love it. Rosie, love it. Love it. Sorry, Rosie, love it. Not the civil rights. Rosie Lovett started the group and chairs it, and she's discussed the submitted designs, and then we met her on site and we talked a bit more about finessing it, and I think they're pretty happy with the final one that we've got.
I think that's a really important aspect to it, actually, because we're not using it, probably, and so,
Steve?
I think Mike's point about securing it in terms of, increased security is something that I've been very happy to support.
Yeah.
It's part of spending 210,000 for it to be destroyed in the first 6 weeks. It doesn't mind us around, and that'd be money well spent. The proper question would be, of the equipment that's going in, how much is actual replacement equipment, and is there any equipment that's staying there?
There's quite a lot that's replacement. The items that stay in, kind of quite old climber frame that's at the bottom of the part that's staying, that's staying in situ, and that'll be stripped and repainted and have the surfacing put around it. There's a number of the springers that are being kept and kind of refurbished because there's a few kind of damaged parts on them. And I think the rest is... there's the big kind of net swing that's kind of the back corner, that's being kept in situ.
Trampoline, seesaw thing, and the basket swing stairs.
Yeah, the basket swing.
Trampoline stairs.
Yeah, the trampoline stairs.
Four-seater seesaw kind of thing.
Yes. Yeah.
But everything gets resurfaced underneath, so it'll be professional.
You mentioned 12 weeks, and when will that 12 weeks take part? It won't be in the summer, will it, when it's...
No, we aim to do it before the summer, but it's a little bit of a conversation with the contractors to when they can start.
Right, thank you.
Very good.
There's just a couple of items in there which I saw Roger's note on, he queried the value of, and I just wanted to second that, and I looked at those and thought, not so sure. The music chimes, whenever I've seen them in a play park, they're the first thing to get broken. Rarely in use because of that. And I think the little stage as well, I couldn't really see much use for that.
Yeah.
Points of detail.
So they've been removed, haven't they?
Have they already?
Is that right? Are they in?
They're in at the moment. It was a discussion about
the only I'll say the only decision, but one of the things, two things. Roger came back and asked about the upstands. A minimum of 50%, then 50% of them are likely to be kept, providing they're in working order. And Faye asked about whether we could negotiate a deal with the contractors to accommodate the extension of the wet pour service to the brick wall. I've asked them how they felt about that, and they would look at that, and I'm just going to get the right price. So we could either do that, and it would increase the price by £1,800. So they would like meet us more than halfway with that one. Or if they took a couple of bits off at the bottom of the tower, there's a play shell and a tic-tac-toe board. Not sure what play shell is, and that would bring the overall price of the project down to 209,673.
Can I answer about the stage and the chimes?
Yeah.
We did have quite a long discussion about those, and other people were maybe keen to remove them. but we want the park to be inclusive, and just about everything else is physical activity. And I felt quite strongly that, particularly actually the arts town, hopefully moving forward, is that we needed to have something in there that catered for children who didn't want to be physical but actually wanted to be more artistic. And I've had some experience at school of children using the stage, and they did love that. And the chimes alongside that seem to make sense, but I
are a lovely thing
I
if they
get
work.
your point, and I think we need to look at very carefully at what they're actually like, and the sustain, you know.
There's a play park in Carlisle that has them that were broken within.
Yeah. I mean, people will go for the easiest thing to break, but that's the thinking behind it, is to make it as inclusive as possible.
Just to thank Roger and Tom for all of their hard work on this. They've really taken the design up there.
Fair as well.
Sorry if I was at the meetings with yourself, but they've put a lot of thought into it. It's a massive improvement, and it's something that's well worth the investment for the town. I guess I know that there's a little plaque at the moment for Rotary Hadrian's War Club, and I think one of the feedback I have had from the family, actually, because they use the park all the time, was more benches around the outside for more seating area, because that's quite and Roger was saying earlier, the kind of circular area where there used to be a kind of seesaw kind of thing, that is probably where most of the parents sit after school. And actually more seating, I think, could be a real benefit. But I don't know if we've talked to any other local Rotary at all about trying them to not sponsor one, perhaps?
Yeah, we could look at some members of the public and some groups to see if they would like to sponsor. Yeah, we'll look at that.
Yeah, I think in terms of responding to why we haven't put seating in, we're really trying to focus on using the money for play equipment. We can use other areas of the budget for seating.
Right. Well, I think that's been a long and interesting debate. So we shall. We just need to vote on that, Andrew.
Yeah, I mean it's whether you just want it as it was originally stood with the extension of.
I think Andrew, I'd prefer if we could just give delegated powers to the working group, just for them to decide, because obviously they've done all the work, and I think trying to get us in is the last. So because obviously it's only a few hundred.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah. So I think what we'll do is, if we can vote on the principle of what we've got, the 210 and all that, and we'll leave it to the working group to decide on those finer items. So we'll give delegated authority for them just to work on that. Does that seem fair?
Absolutely fair.
Yeah. Okay. So if we could have a vote on that, please. Well done, everybody. Yeah, we need a second.
I'll second.
Faye seconded. So Tom is the proposer. Faye seconded, and it's unanimous. Thank you. Well done. Well done to everybody who's been involved in that. Doing great job. Right. So we've done that. To receive an update on Hexham's potential development sites. Well, obviously we've had a lot of this, a number of these things are covered in the conversation with Northumberland County Council leader Glen Sanderson. So I'm going to just flick through this. So we spoke about the middle school, we spoke about the bus station, so thanks for raising that, Stephen. We spoke about the toilets. The West Road is up for sale. The police houses, so if you go past the police house, you can see there's quite a lot of activity in there. There's JCB actually activity on there, so obviously that work is underway, which is welcome. There was mention of the workhouses, mention of the shambles, so the shambles just the car parking to be resolved on that one. The cycle path obviously works underway on that. Mike, I'll bring you in.
So thanks, Derek. The cycle path, I met with NCC officers a few weeks back with Trevor. They were at the White Cross from the new bus station. They've contacted residents of White Cross or Crossroads. The smaller road will be closed off, so that's going to be happening. And then we also looked at where the Peth Head road joins the Corbridge Road further on, and there's going to be some rising tables. So, and they are consulting with everybody, and they've consulted with a lot of people down the Corbridge Road to get their input onto it. And while we're talking about cycle path, I'm still working on the Hayden Bridge to Hexham cycle path, and I will be doing a cycle with Joe Morris this month, providing I get signed by the doctor with my arm, and also and a walk with the landowner because we need a bit of land to submit the path. But yeah, so there's quite a bit happening with the cycle path.
Excellent. That's interesting. Good. So the railway buildings and water tower, we spoke about that. The West End Methodist, is any, nothing more to, we're in contact with the West End Methodist owners, which is obviously the church wardens, so we'll continue that conversation there. We've mentioned the old Rob's Beals site, Prospect House. There seems to be a bit of work going on there, just to finalise that one. Anybody know, are they up for sale? Does anybody?
They're for sale.
They're all for sale, right? Okay, that's good. Abbey House, nothing to report on that, and the old fire station. There is the meeting at the County Council on Wednesday, where there's a large debate on the coal-in and Morpeth at 2 o'clock. So.
Thanks. It's actually a point about a development site that isn't actually on this long list, and I think all of us were quite shocked when we found out that they were building houses next to Alnwick View. And the Alnwick View. So in politics, lots of things that you can do which you can change, and you can change back with the rates. If you put the rates up, it doesn't really matter so much, because at some point, if people want it, you can take it down. But one of the few things I thought that we all agreed on as a group was to protect the green belt. Because once you build on the green belt, you can't ever go back on it. You just lose it forever. And I think there's a big risk within Hexham that we will keep on building out and out and out until we get to Corbridge and the two will meet. And there's nothing really to stop that from happening other than having stakeholders and institutions like Hexham Town Council to try to stop it. And I think one of the things I really loved about this group was that regardless of people's politics, that was something that really brought people together. And one of the things I really admire about you, Derek, is in the west end of the town, you have actually managed to get the, it's a, not duck pond status, is it? It's village green status. But what is on the face of it a field, but people use it as a really important part of biodiversity for the town. Now, I would have thought as a group that we would try to do the same for east of Hexham, and that we would be trying to protect all of our green areas. And it seems a big surprise for me, it's a big shock actually, while we spent so much time talking as a group about the fire station, it was important that we worked together. The actual planning committee had actually gone through and actually raised very serious concerns about the Coast and Castles development in that area, and said it wasn't of a sufficient design standard. There were other sites in the town centre that needed to be developed first. And then we found that local county councillors have actually gone and approved it behind our back. And that for me really didn't sit easy at all. On top of that, when the announcement came out, the actual Coast and Castles had the cheek of saying that the town council had been working tirelessly with them to be able to bring affordable housing. Now that for me was, I don't know what the sign-off process was for that. Did they bring an actual a press release to yourself, Derek, to say that? But as an organisation, I do not think we've been working tirelessly to build on the green belt. If anything, I'd say we've been doing the complete opposite. So what I want to do, because I know that outline permission, you can't go back and change it. I'm not going to waste people's time by asking about a petition to try to change what's been done. But we need to stop this from happening again in the future. It's really critical. So I think what we need to think about is not just a list of development sites that we want to see developed, but also potentially development sites that we want to see protected, and that we make sure that we keep Hexham's green belt and we develop in the town and don't let it drift outwards further. So Derek, you're the expert on this, so I'm going to take your advice on the best approach of doing it, because you've got the successful track record of protecting West Hexham, and what can we do in the East End as well? I'm not actually on the planning committee anymore of Northumberland County Council, so I wasn't part of that. Like Suzanne Fales-Aiken actually chairs that.
So it's probably a conversation with her would be appropriate. I mean, but obviously you've always got that tension of, like, you know, that green belt area versus affordable housing and social housing and all that. You've got that tension as to go, you know, what's the right thing to do, and it's judgment essentially. Obviously, you know, you mentioned the village green. The village green thing up on the Allendale Road is currently with the inspector. The inspectors were doing their. It's very formal. It was actually at the Wentworth, and I attended for a little time just to see how it all went. So the inspector was there alongside, you know, people asking the people asking the questions, and are very formal. You know, it's very judicial. In talking to the people who had actually raised the village green application, and obviously that's now with the inspector now to decide whether it will get village green status, and if it does, that means it's a protected piece of land. It's ancient English common law land that we're talking about here. So that's in the balance at this moment in time. So yeah. But
what can we do as a group? Because I think we've done letters of interest, and we've done that with the fire station. Like, what can we do around that? Like, I mean, it's very awkward because Suzanne sits on the town council, and it's disappointing that she's not here to actually defend herself and the decision that she's made. But she was cock-a-hoot about it. She thought it was fantastic. So that was disappointing. And it's just holding them to account, because it was very clearly in our strategy that we all sat down. We all came out, we all took a day of our time, and one of the key things that came out about it was obviously the art town, making progress on that, but it was to protect the green belt. If we get one thing right, it's to protect the green belt. That's the one thing we can agree on.
And it's also part of the town plan, so I'll bring Kenny in and I'll bring John in.
Yeah, so I think, partly because it's being filmed, just for a point of clarification, so we're a major consultee, and if the county council decides that there might be no legal reason why they should reject a planning application, so they're governed in some parts of that. But I think that if what Councillor Glen Sanderson has said today actually happens, I think that we should actually bear that in mind, that if we are going to be in regular communication, then we have to make that clear, that we do support the building of social housing, and we need to build more houses, and we need to find more accommodation for people, which doesn't necessarily mean building new houses. It means using existing houses. And I think that if we were to work up a statement which was around that, so we position ourselves and communicate that. We communicate that obviously through the process where we're the consultees. If we say no, we did have about, I don't know how many conversations with castles and coasts. That's not to say that we endorsed what they did in the end, but we talked to them about, well, you know, why this site, and it was quite a complicated background to it. But I think if we as the town council feel that strongly about it, we need to make a public statement that means that we've got greater weight in what we're demanding and are more vocal about it.
John?
I think it's for about 10 years now we've had a neighbourhood plan. And the neighbourhood plan spells out exactly where we want affordable homes to be made, and it isn't out on the green belt. Some of us are forming a committee to look again at the existing neighbourhood plan and see if we can tighten it up. But what is the point if people take no notice of it? We've said over and over again, these are the places where affordable houses should be built. It never happens. Never happens. So I don't know what form of words we can put into the neighbourhood plan to get the county council to listen and to take notice of it.
Yeah, so I'll bring Fee and then Tom.
One issue, and we brought this up at the meeting we were at with Mark Penny, is that the land that is for sale by the county council, they are actually asking too much money for it, like the West Road site, for instance, which means that developers aren't able to build houses on those brownfield sites because they can't make the books balance, basically. And the argument for that was, oh, well, we have to sell the land for what the surveyors valued it for, which obviously is a load of So, I mean, I think that is something that we could bring up at that meeting with Glen, is that could they please market property, brownfield sites for a sensible amount of money that means developers can use them instead of opting for the easier and cheaper route of building on greenfield sites.
Tom?
Thanks for bringing this up. It's really important. But to kind of lead on from what John said, the line in the neighbourhood plan is simply to follow national policy. There's no extra kind of weight there, so I think it's something that really needs some work by that working group.
I mean, the problem is, and I'm not a planning expert, other people are, but the planning regulations have been significantly loosened. So the problem that you've got now is that we put a massive sign up over Hexham saying build here, and the only thing you can do is slow it down. You can't stop it, and you need to kind of be this bigger pain in the arse, so they're going to try and develop somewhere else instead. So it's just very disappointing that not everyone in this town council took that view. But,
just to add to that, the previous administration, we looked at the old bus station. We were pushing NCC hard to do something about that, and NCC went to Homes England to get the money to buy that back, and Homes England valued it at half the price that the developer was willing to give up. And I think the issue is with these brownfield sites that we may have Homes England able to give us the money, or NCC the money, but when the developer says I want double that, and that's why the bus station's been stuck for the last 10 years. And other sites in the same fashion. That's the problem, is it's developers and finding the cash and then value for money.
Indeed. Right, good. Okay. Good discussion. Right, one small, that's it, and one more, that's it.
Thank you. I can't remember what Glen said about the bus station. Did he say that something was in the offing, coming up in what, 3 months, was it, something like that he said? Well, I'll give it another 3 months, and when nothing has happened after those 3 months, I think we should start naming names. Because Dysart is a company, but it's owned by people who took out a mortgage on that site. As soon as they bought it, they took out a mortgage. I think that mortgage has been paid off now, so it's about time they thought about selling it. But they are real people. They live outside Morpeth, or they did last time I looked. I think it's time we named those people and said to the people of Hexham, these two characters, Mr. and Mrs., they're the ones who are holding this. They're the ones who are in control of the Black Hole. And I would be very tempted to name names.
Right, okay, thanks for that. I've always been of the opinion everything seems to take 10 years for whatever reason. It's always 10 years. Always 10 years. Right, forthcoming events. Andrew, have you got any forthcoming events?
There's one of the ones that Sanderson mentioned was the Town and Parish Council conference on the 5th of March.
Right, so I'll do the mayor's announcement. So there's the community partnership, so the Tynedale Community Partnership, which is run by the County Council. That takes place on the 24th of February. So you're all invited to that. We're just getting the agenda together for that, which I'll chair. Obviously there was a Christmas market, which seems like a distance away before, but obviously there was a Christmas market that seemed to be incredibly popular when I attended. A very, very, very popular event, so well done, the Christmas market. What have I written there? I've written school there. What did I write? I'm reading all right. Village Green, yes, I've talked about the Village Green. So yes, there was the Village Green that took place at the Wentworth in a public meeting in which the inspector was there, and there was two very very forceful interrogators, asking them questions of both the applicant and the landowner, and really trying to clarify exactly, you know, what has happened over the last 20 years, of like how much that land is being used, etc. So that's now with the inspector, and a decision will be made in time. So that's the limit of the mayor's announcements. 13, to agree the accounts for payment. Is there any question on the accounts for payment? So that's any questions at all? Page 1, 2, page 3. Okay, happy with those? Yeah, thank you. To note the approved minutes of council meetings. So we have had the finance and general purposes of the 19th of November. Page 1, page 2. That's quite. So it's page 1 on that. Planning and infrastructure on the 4th of November, page 1, page 2, page 3, page 4, page 5 and 6. And that's it. Thank you. And to note, any correspondence, Andrew, any correspondence?
There's correspondence from NELC, CBA, Rural Bulletin, and then there's some information from the police around the fraud project. I'll pass around if anybody's interested in getting involved in that, and the community resilience forums.
Okay, so that's here end of the meeting, but I'll bring Stephen in.
Yeah, this afternoon I went to a trustees meeting of Hexham Youth Initiative, and I'm just amazed by the work that they did, and I don't think people really understand. If we didn't have Hexham Youth Initiative, you know, that's when we really miss it. Yeah. And one of the things I picked up on that I really didn't really understood till today was the amount of work they're doing in the garden at Hewitt. They have the kids who were sometimes not the best academically.
Yeah.
And I thought to myself, what a great match that would be. You know, we talked about an apprenticeship and inviting some of those kids to come on work experience and possibly an apprenticeship with us as an employer. Now, I don't know the mechanism for doing it, whether we invite Keitha to the next meeting to discuss it, or whether I come back with a proposal. But as she was saying it just fell into place. And I thought, these are kids who need outdoor life, who benefit from working with adults. Not necessarily education is for them in its academic form, and what positive role we could play is something that I think we should do.
Okay, so I would suggest, Mike, if we can put that on the Planning and Infrastructure Committee, and just start the exploration of that, and then, you know, obviously let the exploration go to the Planning and Infrastructure, and then if we think it's a goer, they can go to Staff Committee and then bring it in.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you.
Great idea. Right, so if there's nothing else, we shall call the meeting to an end. Is that okay? Fantastic. Well done.